Good evening. My name is Casey Albert. Have you ever heard of the UFC or the MMA? Or how about Dana White or Joseph Rogan? Well, the UFC is a mixed martial arts promoting company based out of the United States. It was founded in 1993. Dana White is the president of that company, and Joseph Rogan is a commentating face known for commentating the events of the UFC since 1997, only 4 short years after the UFC was founded. Today we will be discussing Joe Rogan. He is arguably one of the most known commentating faces in the UFC. Throughout the next few minutes, I will tell you more about Joe Rogan and his roles and views with the UFC, as well as controversial topics. Joe Rogan is open about cannabis. He is a libertarian and he supports the Second Amendment, and he was a host on Fear Factor, as well as a comedian. But first, let's discuss how he is open on cannabis. I talked to the class and asked if people felt that it is okay for people in a prestigious spot in life to openly talk about cannabis use. And by the majority, many people did not mind. Joe Rogan, in addition to that, does not mind. He is a face of UFC known internationally and openly supports the use of cannabis medicinally as well as recreationally for mind, body, and soul. UFC President Dana White acknowledges that many people in the MMA world do smoke marijuana, although it should be noted that it is still an illegal drug to use according to the UFC's policies. Next, let's talk about how Joe is a libertarian. He is a libertarian and has a strong support for the Second Amendment. He occasionally has received controversial feedback for his views on the Second Amendment and how he supports it. However, he believes that we should hunt for our food and that we should no longer mass produce animals for killing. He also believes in equal pay, gay marriage, among other many controversial views. Finally, let's talk about Joe in regards to Fear Factor and how he is a comedian. Joe was the host of Fear Factor for a total of 7 years. He loved Fear Factor, and while hosting Fear Factor, he had to let go of some of the UFC commentations and focused a little bit more on the comedian side of Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan was a comedian before he came to the UFC as a commentator. However, while he was the host of Fear Factor, he was able to become known more often and became traveling around doing many, many more shows as a comedian. In conclusion, Joe Rogan truly is known for the UFC as a commentator, but he is so much more than that. He has many international views and people who know him throughout the world. He has an open-minded opinion about cannabis use as well as his political affiliations, and he was a host on Fear Factor as well as a comedian. Today, Joe Rogan has a podcast and will continue to be part of the UFC for the future. I leave you with this. Work for that feeling that you have accomplished something, and don't waste your time on this earth without making a mark. Joe Rogan stated that, and I find this to be very true. Joe Rogan is a very educated commentator, and we should take a little bit of what he says to heart. Thank you.